Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, you may have noticed that this week's video is a little shorter than normal, and for the next few weeks they might be short, they might not even be a video, so I've got a little story to tell you. So anyway, last week when I was getting ready for my, we'll call it a trial, although it isn't really, we had some wet weather. So while it was wet, I wasn't out in the woods, and actually a friend came and helped me, and that shortened the amount of work I had to do. So I did come in and do a couple of little bits in here, which is what you're going to see. Then Sunday didn't rain, but it was pretty muddy out there, and you know, well, maybe you don't know, but all my sections are sort of on a hillside, and it's terminal moraine from the glaciers that made the lakes here. It's clay with rocks in it. So the gullies are easy to ride, but some parts get almost impassable. Anyway, we had a great day's riding, everything like that. And then people had gone up to eat. And I came down here at the workshop to take my riding boots off. And I thought, oh, I'm getting indigestion. And then I thought, oh, I'm getting dehydrated again. I don't feel too good. So I sat down to have a drink of water. And you may be guessing, I had a heart attack. So, of course, didn't have my phone with me. So I'm down here at the workshop. The workshop is like, I did pace it out one time. I think it's 160 yards from the house. So I knew everybody was up there stuffing their faces with chili. So I thought, after a while I thought, I've got to go and find somebody. So I managed to stagger out. And luckily one of the guys had to go early, but he said he'd come back, and he did. Just as I was coming out of the workshop, he was pulling into the drive. So I said, I think I'm having a heart attack, and he phoned the ambulance and they whisked me away to hospital. So I had 2 stents put in, and in about 3 weeks I've got to go and have another one put in. But they said that it hadn't damaged my heart, so I should be alright. I mean, this happened on Sunday afternoon. Sunday evening I was sitting in a chair in the hospital eating my chicken dinner, and Monday, they kept me in 2 days, Monday and Tuesday I was just sitting there bored out of my skull. Well, Linda brought something in for me to read, but I really feel fine. And anyway, because of that, you know, I'm obviously taking it easy. I don't know what I'll be able to do coming out here, and I do have to go back in again. So you just have to bear with me over the next few weeks, and we will get done what we can get done. And then I suppose thinking for the next project might be a much lighter trials bike than the 275 pound that I'm hauling around with the Enfield. Although I do love riding that bike. But anyway, that's for the future. So enjoy this little bit of video, and we'll see you. Well, Jensen's girlfriend took a lot of video, but with everything that happened, we didn't get a chance to get it, so she's getting that video to me. So you'll probably have a video of some riding, but other than that I'm not quite sure what's going to happen over the next few weeks. So for both of us, stay safe and enjoy ourselves. So let's get started on this silencer. Okay, I keep forgetting which end is which. That end goes on there. Now I've already pushed this on, and it goes on 7/8 because I marked it and then measured it. So what I'm going to do is put the slots in 1/2 inch, which is plenty for a clamp to grip on. Right, and which that goes on easiest that way. Then we'll mark this so we know which side the holes go on, and the same with this, the holes are going to go on this side. Now I don't like that this points down like that. It's a lot better than it was, but, and I've got enough room here to bring that up a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pie cut out of here. Right, so I know that's the top, but I'll measure it and mark it. about 3/4 of an inch back, maybe a little less. Well, yeah, 3/4 would be good. I'll make a little pie cut and I'll kink this up just a fraction, possibly slightly outwards. So when I make the pie cut, I won't just lift it up, I'll turn it round slightly and lift it up and outwards. And then that'll give me plenty of clearance at this end. Right, now you're wondering what that's for. That is just over 3.5 inches from there, right? So that is where this would be. I'm going to need to get a straight edge for this, hang on. I'm back. When this is fully compressed, this bit of the tube will be there, right? This is going to be the bottom of the silencer. So, for that, right, when that comes up 3.5 inches, you can see we're still clear of that. Because actually that's going to come up slightly on the inside of that. So and we're going to lift it up a little bit. So there's plenty of clearance for that at full deflection. So let me go and, well, I'll cut this and weld it up and dress it, and then we'll get on the mill and mill some little slots, and then we'll carry on the mill and drill a couple of rows of holes. Well, there's always good news and bad news, isn't there? Look, I wanted to gloat because I actually did that. Didn't touch the tungsten once, got everything right, but I got out of sequence. I meant to do the slots while this was still straight. Now of course it's got a little dog leg in it, so I can put it in the mill and the uprights, that'll go in straight. Even when that's pointing down, that'll go in straight, but obviously when I put it that way, I need to come in at an angle. So anyway, I'll solve that, but hold on. Let's have a look at this now. So now you see I've put that on. There's my black line, that's nearly rubbed off, but there it is. So now you see, that's how I want that to be, that way a little bit. That's about straight. And that is very nice, everything clears and it's a long way away from my boot, everything's good. Alright, let's go and see about putting some 1/8 inch slots in that. Well actually they're 3/16, that's the smallest end mill I can find. Right, well, so here we are, got my 1/2 inch mark. I'm only putting 4 slots in, that'll be ample because it's quite a close fit to start with. So this is the first one where it's bent up a little bit, then I'll turn it 180 degrees. So I was watching a thing the other day with Neil deGrasse, what's his name, and he was talking about reduction in intelligence in the US. And he had a great quote from a member of the House of Representatives who said that after a lot of thought, he'd changed his point of view 360 degrees. So think about that. All right. That's walking. The problem here is, with it being alloy tube, I don't grip it too tightly or it just deforms. What's that? Now I put it in between a couple of V blocks, which were probably all shouting and telling me I should have done anyway. God, that must be tight enough. Alright, there's one done. Let me turn it over. Alright, see what happens here. I've got this about as tight as I dare grip it, or I'll make it a completely different shape. I've never had this trouble before. That was actually pushing it along. Alright, we've got two done. They're really thicker than I wanted them to be, but never mind. Right. These side ones are going to be a pain in the arse, so I'm not even going to film it. Well, that didn't come out too badly. It wasn't actually much of an angle, and just a little bit of, you know, freehand X and Y axis together. So there's my line, that goes on there, and you can see it's straightened up a bit, and that goes on there perfectly. Alright, I'll go and drill some holes. Alright, we're back in here. This should be a lot easier since it's just pushing down. See, I've marked 3 rows. I'm going to do 3 rows of 1/4 inch holes, and I'm using 1/4 inch for 2 reasons. One, they're a good size, 3 rows, plenty of holes, lots of gas flow. But also, because I'm drilling onto a curved surface, which is never easy, unless you sort of do a starter, I'm going to use a starter drill, a 1/4 inch starter drill, because it won't wander, and if I just go all the way through, instead of just using it as a starter drill, I get a 1/4 inch hole. Or that's the plan anyway. So that's nice and tight. Yeah, in between those 2 V blocks. There, see, a nice 1/4 inch hole, really clean hole. So I've got to move the handle at this end, and that will bring the table towards you. So let me just carry on, because it'd be boring watching me drilling lots of holes. Right, so there's the first one done. That's the centre row. I did the second row and I thought they were too far away, so this 3rd row I put a little bit closer and I sort of staggered them, just to add a little bit of well, I say strength, it doesn't really need it, but rather than having a row, it looks nicer as well. So let me do the other bit, and then we've got to start putting this together. Right then, there's all the holes drilled, and you will notice that they're bigger, because when I calculated the surface area of all these 1/4 inch holes, it was less than the 1.5 inch pipe. Well, it's not actually 1.5 inch, of course, because there's the thickness of the walls. It's 1 3/8. So I always like to at least match it, if not be slightly more, so that I don't impair the flow. So I did the centre hole, centre row on each one, 3/8, just calculated that, and now I've got more throughput than there is in the pipe. So what's next? Right, well, as I say, that's, you see, how it works. We're going to have a 1/2 inch gap between. This is going to be blanked off, that's going to be blanked off, so it's going to go in there. come through those holes, go through those holes, come out. And, you know, when I've started up the bikes, I've had a few people over the years say, whoa, that's loud. Well, when I'm standing here in the workshop revving it up, yes. And if I was going to ride this bike on the road so that it was at, say, 3/4 throttle for a lot of the time, it would be noisy. But don't forget, again, think about use. It's a trials bike. Most of the time, it's just running a tick over, a little bit more. You need to go up a hill or something, all right, you put it on. So most of the time, the noise is negligible. All right. So anyway, what do we do now? Well, what we do now, on the next stage, is we cut 2 pieces of alloy like that. And what that does, you see, is one goes on there, that blanks that end off, and then this piece goes in there. And then at the other end, it's an identical piece, that goes on there like that. Can you see this? Yep. That will go on there like that. And that gets blanked off there. Then we make a skin round the whole thing. So let me go and cut 2 pieces of alloy like that. And there's 2 of them cut. So as I say, that one, you see, goes on there like that. And that welds to that. That would be with the holes, of course, pointing to each other. Now I thought I'd measured that to be a 1/2 inch between there. That looks more than a 1/2 inch to me. Let's have a little look-see here. 3/4. I've got to make sure it isn't too much. Let me just go and check. Nope, that'll be fine. So let me clean all this up, ready for welding, and then what we've got to do is put it on and mark it, because obviously it's no good me putting that on there like that and then finding I'm going to be over here. See, so got to make sure we're right with the orientation of the holes and the plate. Alright, see the little black marks I made there? That was when I was getting that on there right. Okay, so now what we've got to do is exactly the same thing here. Make sure we're clear at both ends. Plenty of clearance for the tyre. Right, let me go and tack this onto there. So that's how it's going to go on. Bent these a little bit just to get it away from this tube slightly, because I had more space here. I could have made this so much longer. I don't know how it ended up that short. But it's big enough, it's about the same size as the Jensen's. So now all I've got to do is take this off, lay it down flat, and then I can tack that there and the same on the other side, and then I can do the welding. Then after lunch we'll make the actual skin that goes around it. So let me get this tacked and then I'll bring it back on. Alright, there's the ends all tacked up, so that's finished. I've got to do here and in there, so yeah, I can get that done, and then while it's cooling I'll go and have lunch, and then we'll come back and we'll fold up a skin. Let's say I might try and use that. Oh, here's the thing, I like watching videos of really skilled people, and I was watching this Japanese sheet worker making copper watering cans, and he used a brake and a slip roller just like the ones I've got. The brake, he just he used it, it folded the edge over, and then he put it in and it double folded it, which is exactly what people told me that brake was for. And then when I looked at the slip roller, it was identical. The top roller didn't come out. And what happened with him was the copper was so springy that he ran it through, and when it came out, it just, popped out, and then it formed the circle. So, isn't that interesting? All right, let me do this welding. Right. So I've welded these tops in and ground them off because the flat piece is going to go on there. Welded that in there. That one in there. So oh, get on there. Get on there, Morton. And we've had that conversation, I think, a couple of years back. Alright, so we're missing everything. We're inside this tube, we're about half an inch away from the tyre. We've got a gap there, excuse me. See, look. Oh. Gap there, nice big gap here. We'll make a bracket there when we're all done. So the next thing then is to make the cover for this. Now normally I would just make it whatever length it is, but here you can see it's all jogged over a little bit. So we'll actually make a template so we can get this all taken into account. Gotta sand that a little bit because it sticks out. So now we're into dog biscuit cardboard, not breakfast cereal cardboard. So there's a piece wrapped right round. So what we'll do now is we will mark this. Like so, and like so. Then I don't want to tear this tape off because it might. This is only finished card. Then we will cut that like so. Right. This end is right, that end's got an extra bit to cut off. So let me cut that and see if I can do that without making a mess of it. And there we are. Both ends. So let's go and cut a piece of alloy, and then normally I weld them up along the bottom. I'm going to do this one along the side because, as I say, I'm going to try and do the curve top and bottom in the slip rollers just as an experiment. Alright, let's do this little experiment. I almost slipped up because when I marked this is roughly where the bend is going to be at each side. I fortunately thought about it, I thought, wait a minute, the way I was holding that sound set wasn't, and folding this round, wasn't that going to put the joint at the front, which it was. So I had to, luckily could just turn it round. So let's see what's what here. Eh? Right, so I think what I do, oh, that's going down. Bring this up like this. And we just go backwards and forwards. I think I need a good bit more pressure than that though, don't I? Oh, come on, up. Forgotten already. My memories get terrible. Short-term memory. Things like this, you know, I do something and then 2 minutes later I can't remember how I've done it. Okay. Which way did I just go then? Clockwise or anti-clockwise? Let's remember this, it's anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise. I think I'd rather just do this over a form, hammer it round. Are you getting bored yet? I am. I suppose those of you know how to use one of these things, if you say, nah, you're doing it all wrong. See, that's getting to be... I don't like this. I'm going to fold this round a piece of tube. Actually, this might be 1.5 inch. And that's 1.25. I'm going to get a bit of 1.5 inch round and bend this round. This is bloody ridiculous. Now then, here's a piece of 1.5 inch steel round. See, we're miles out. Let's have a look. That's the top. That has to go on that way. Yeah. Bloody stupid. Whose idea was it to do it like that? See, now I've got it in a half shaped form and I've got to reshape it, which is always harder than starting from scratch. See, look, now I've got that to straighten out. Let me get something else. Now we need a bit of flat. Well, we're getting there. Getting back to where we should be. That goes on like that. Yeah, that's going to be good. Alright, let me carry on battering and I'll bring you back when I'm closer. Alright, now we're getting something like. Okay, actually. See, I can weld it at the top there. I'm going to weld it at the top there and then work on the rest of this. So let's do that. So I got one end done. I got carried away again. What I did was I did a little bit and then put a clamp on. See, like there. I've got that done, then I've clamped this so that I can do this part, and then I'll do along the back. I'm just letting it cool down a little bit. Alright, forgot to film this because I just popped out and did it the other day, but there's a bracket on there. So what we're going to do now is make corresponding steel tab, we'll bolt them together, and then I'll bronze it on. So let me go and cut a little bit of, I don't know, 1/8, something like that, to fit on there. And there's the little steel tab. So let me bronze that on there. Then we've got to see about putting the mudguard in. We're going to make a cutout. So let me bronze this. Right, so there's that on there. It was a bit awkward to do, but it's still a pretty shoddy bit of bronzing. So we'll have to grind that out and just redo it so I can get some nice little ripples in it. Alright, there it is on there, nice and tight. I've actually got a clamp on there. So that's that on. Now we can put the mudguard back on. Now we know we have to cut a little bit more out of the top on the side where the chain guard is, but we're going to try and get clever here. That hole there, there's a corresponding hole in the mudguard. So I'm going to measure across to how far this exhaust is and how far the bottom of it is and the top of it is for cutting out, and then we'll mark the mudguard and cut it and see if we can do it without ruining a perfectly good mudguard. Alright, so measurements. Cool, let's have a look, see. So we are 3 inches down from the centre of that hole. And that is 1, 2.5 from there. I'm going to have to put a couple of straight edges on this to get it right, or I'm going to get the wrong measurement. So let me do that. Right, slight change of plan. I cut the piece out for the other side because I knew how easy that was going to be, and I thought, you know, this looks quite a long way over and what have you, so I've put this in as it is. We actually only need to cut out for this. So that is there. We're about 4. Something like that. So, what I actually use for this is a little, you know, woodworker's coping saw, because it's got the tiny blade and you can cut round. So let me go and do that. Right, I cut the piece out, but I found that it was the bottom part that was awkward, so I've actually just cut that like that. And now that goes straight on there like that, and we're clear there and there. So let me hurry these bolts in, because yet again I don't know where all the electricity goes, but I see the little red sign on. Of course. So that's going to go on there like that, and that's going to go on there like that, and everything will be good. Alright, put a foot on this and basically everything's done. We can then move on to the petrol tank. Oh, saddle base. Saddle base, but that's minor, and that can be done anytime, anytime. Alright. Pretty damn good. Okay, I think I'm going to let the table down and try and do this. See, I don't want to fiddle around with that while it's up in the air, but when it's down I can take the straps off and lean it over, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure, but I might just be able to put a little bit of a turn in that because this sticks out quite a way actually, and that'll stand it nicely, and also it won't have it sticking out so much at the back. All right, so let's have a look at that.